I'm a real gangster. Hey, we can't even music no more. I don't play that shit. I don't care about no opportunity. No. You gotta pay deep. Tell them, Katie, you gotta pay deep into what be going on out here so you can stay safe. Fuck you. I don't like you no more. Don't ever call me. I don't want to do no song with you.
You gotta pay. You gotta pay deep into what be going on out here so you can stay safe. That's NBA Youngboy. And that line isn't dramatic editing or clickbait language. That's the actual response he gave when No Cap publicly extended forgiveness, trying to put years of tension behind them. What started as a loyalty dispute between two artists from the Gulf South has crossed into something that made fans stop debating who was right and start asking whether No Cap is actually safe. Here's the full timeline of how it got here. NBA Youngboy, born Kentrell Galden in Baton Rouge, built his career on raw, unfiltered output, releasing music from jail, refusing to stop no matter what legal situation mounted against him, building one of the most devoted fan bases in rap through pure authenticity. When he launched Never Broke Again, it wasn't a corporate label decision. It was personal. Everyone he brought into that world meant something to him directly, and his fans understood that bringing someone into Never Broke Again was never just a business transaction. No Cap, born Kobe Crawford in Mobile, Alabama, built his own reputation on emotionally raw music processing real loss and grief. His 2019 project Neighborhood Hero and 2020's Still Human put him in serious conversation among people tracking the Gulf South scene, and 2021's Mr. Crawford deepened that further. When No Cap aligned with Never Broke Again, the reaction was genuinely enthusiastic. Two artists from similar circumstances, both operating from lived experience. It made sense to everyone watching. The first visible crack came in 2022. Youngboy doesn't communicate through publicists or press releases. He goes live and says what he feels in real time, which is part of why his fan base is so devoted. So when something started bothering him, the internet found out immediately. He began talking publicly about loyalty, about people inside his circle not honoring the trust he'd extended them. His fan base, which tracks his every word with real precision, connected those comments to No Cap almost instantly. The specific issue was No Cap maintaining friendly relationships with artists connected to Lil Baby and Lil Durk, camps Youngboy had publicly and explicitly distanced himself from for years. Inside Youngboy's circle, that wasn't read as normal industry networking. It was read as a signal about where someone's actual loyalty lived when it mattered. The expectation inside that world isn't just avoiding his enemies when convenient, it's moving in a way that makes your position clear without anyone having to ask. That's not written in any contract, it's something absorbed through proximity, and when No Cap's public movement started reading as inconsistent with that understanding, the relationship began shifting in a direction that proved hard to recover from. No Cap didn't go quiet. He pushed back in a grounded, measured way that arguably hit harder than a direct confrontation. He made clear he was focused on his own career and his own identity, that he was from Mobile, not Baton Rouge, and that his relationships predated Never Broke Again entirely. His position was that being signed to a label shouldn't require inheriting someone else's conflicts. From a general perspective, that's a reasonable argument most people would understand. But inside the specific world Youngboy operates in, reasonable from the outside doesn't mean reasonable on the inside. It read as someone prioritizing personal comfort over the code of the circle he'd entered, and in a world where that code functions as actual survival infrastructure rather than cultural preference, that gap between outside logic and inside expectation is the whole story. It was never going to stay contained as a quiet professional disagreement. Never Broke Again itself matters here too. It's not a traditional label with corporate layers that can absorb tension through management and processes. It's built around Youngboy personally, so when the temperature between him and No Cap rose, it rose fast and visibly, with no buffer in between. What followed was a long stretch of uncertainty. Public acknowledgements between them became rare, then stopped completely. Collaborative moments fans expected never materialized. In rap, silence between two people who'd publicly shown each other love is its own language, and the audience read it as exactly that, a statement. Fans split hard along predictable lines. Youngboy's base, fiercely protective and not particularly interested in nuance, read No Cap's independent positioning as confirmation that he'd failed the loyalty test. No Cap's base pushed back just as hard, arguing no artist should have to inherit someone else's beef just because of who signed them. The debate ran for an extended stretch and became one of the more sustained, heated conversations in rap commentary during that period. Then, in late 2025, something shifted. Youngboy and No Cap crossed paths, and people who'd been tracking the tension for years read it as a real signal that the worst might be behind them. Commentary channels framed it as a turning point. The conversation moved from conflict analysis to cautious optimism. That didn't hold. No Cap made a public statement about wanting to move past the conflict entirely. His language was reflective and spiritual. He talked about not wanting to carry bitterness, about people being on their own journeys, about choosing forgiveness because holding on to anger was only hurting his own peace. For everyone hoping for reconciliation, it read as exactly the right gesture at the right moment, a genuine, vulnerable reach across the distance. Youngboy's response wasn't a rejection of that gesture. It was something far more serious. He responded with a video directed at No Cap's camp, and inside it, he explicitly warned No Cap's manager that they needed to pay beef. That phrase is not rap slang used loosely for effect. In the world that shaped Youngboy and continues to surround him, pay beef carries a literal meaning. It means if you want to move safely through spaces where his reach exists, if you want to go about your business without the threat of something physical happening to you or people connected to you, you pay for that safety. It's extortion. It's a street tax. It took a conflict that had lived entirely in the realm of reputation and respect and moved it into something with direct financial and physical stakes. What made it land the way it did wasn't just the words, it was who said them and what his audience understands about the world behind those words. Youngboy doesn't make empty threats for content. His history and the environments he operates in told everyone watching that this wasn't performance. This was information the receiving party needed to take seriously. Think about how far this traveled from where it started. In 2022, this was a real but contained grievance about loyalty and association, something that lives in reputation and relationships. What Youngboy's response to the forgiveness statement represented was a total escalation out of that realm entirely. He didn't reject the peace offering, he weaponized it, taking No Cap's most vulnerable public moment and answering it with a threat that communicated the situation had moved beyond anything words could resolve. Fans who'd processed years of this through the lens of rap conflict and industry politics stopped operating in that framework the moment that response dropped. The conversation shifted completely. People stopped debating who was right back in 2022 and started asking whether No Cap was genuinely in danger, what his team's next move should be, and whether they had the resources to navigate a threat this serious from a source this serious. The broader reaction across the culture was notable for what it revealed. There was real, sustained discussion about whether Youngboy had gone somewhere even his most loyal supporters couldn't fully stand behind. Not because anyone questioned his right to hold a grievance, but because there's a clear line, even among the most street-coded corners of this culture, between holding a conflict about respect and threatening someone's physical safety over it. That distinction showed up even in reactions from people who'd been firmly in Youngboy's corner throughout the entire earlier stretch of this story. What this situation has become is something the culture needs to actually reckon with, rather than just consume as content. The word deadly here isn't describing where this could go if it escalates further. It's describing where things already are. Youngboy communicated something his world has the infrastructure to make real, and No Cap and the people around him are now navigating that with no clean exit in sight. What do you think the right move is for No Cap's camp from here? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more breakdowns on the stories that actually matter in this culture right now.